1990s, I was so on fire with the Course and so on fire for God and Spirit that I don't know what the people around me even thought of me. I was so on fire, and I was so happy that I started to have people showing up that were quite curious about what was going on with me, what was happening, and some of them actually called themselves students and became my first students back in the early 1990s. And then when they started to join their mind with mine in the same purpose, then the same thing started to happen to them too. Their lives started to shift in dramatic kind of ways, and even if they would go to a Course in Miracles group, I would say, isn't this wonderful? Go out and share the good news. They go out to a Course group, and the people at the Course group would think, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That sounds like a fairy tale. They would come back to me and they would say, we went to the Course group, and the Course group, we told them what we're going through, and we're so amazed, and they told us that's a fairy tale, that's ridiculous. You know, they were dismissed for the fairy tale quality of the things that they were sharing was happening in their life. They were dismissed. It was almost like, where did you come from? And you know, people were saying it's a fairy tale. You know, that just belongs in some kind of fairy tale book. It shouldn't be shared at a Course in Miracles meeting. But for me, it was practical Christianity. It was like finally taking those core beautiful teachings from the Bible that Jesus had given us 2,000 years ago, and why not fully embrace them? Why not live that way? In a world where it's so much based on planning and the future, and Jesus says 2,000 years ago, take no thought for the morrow. You know, what you should wear, what you should eat. I mean, if Jesus had gone into great detail, he would, in present times, he's like, don't put your mind's energy on your career. To the world, the career is a very serious thing, a very important, serious thing. You notice most of the fairy tales, none of the characters in fairy tales ever talk about their career. You don't hear Cinderella talking about her career. You know, all the fairy tales, nobody ever talks about careers. I never hear them talk about household finances, you know, like, or what their investments are, what they're doing to prepare for the future. The fairy tales, it's almost completely omitted. You know, you've got some dramas going on, some basic dramas going on in the fairy tale, but a lot of the things that most people struggle with and are so challenged with are omitted from the fairy tales. And the world would say, well, yeah, that's just not practical. That's why they're fairy tales. Because they're not very practical. They're just like little airy-fairy stories. But I found in my life, when I started to just put Spirit first in everything, and I really started to just deeply pray and listen, okay, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And I would get these strong guidances and prompts, and then when I would follow them, I would have such glorious, expansive experiences, like expansive joy. Follow the next prompt. Woo! Another expansive joy experience. Follow the next prompt. Whoa! Another expansive experience. That pretty soon, I started associating following my guidance with the happiness and expansiveness. At first, it was a little bit like, I don't know if I can just let go of all my past learning here so quickly. That I don't want to be gullible. I don't want to be like stupid. I don't want to put myself into a position where I'll have all these regrets, like, you should have gone back to all that practical worldly advice that you had spent years learning. I wanted to go into a place where my guidance would lead to an expansion of my mind, my awareness, and that would be the proof. That would be all the proof I needed, was that expansive, glorious state of mind. And to me, that's what got me in the direction of living under Christ's control. You know, at the beginning, I wasn't really fond of traveling, but the guidance was to travel across the United States for an unspecified amount of time, and I didn't know where I was going to stay, or I wasn't going to visit relatives, I wasn't going to visit friends. And there's a part of my mind thinking, oh, Jesus, holy Jesus, you better know what you're doing here, because you get somebody like David who doesn't like to travel, out on the road, traveling every day, and going where? You're going to tell me? And where are the funds going to come from? Where is thank you for this miraculous car, the 3-cylinder car that you got me, but exactly where is the gas going to come from? Where will the body sleep? Where will I stay? You know, this wasn't going out for a couple-day trip, a weekend trip. This is like launching out for weeks. I had no idea how long the trip would go. And I can really relate to Helen Schuckman starting to take the course down with those words, "This is a Course in Miracles, please take notes." In 1965, she starts getting this train of thought, "This is a Course in Miracles, please take notes." Of course, she revolted and went to Bill Thetford and said, now it's gone from colored visions and dreams, now it's speaking to me. And he's like, "Well, what's it saying?" She said, "Here's what it is, I wrote it down." And basically, that was her partner there, her collaborator, because he said, "You know, this isn't too bad. This is pretty good stuff. Maybe we should just let it continue tomorrow, and if it's all gibberish, we'll just tear it up and we'll throw it away and we'll pretend it never happened. You know, we won't even acknowledge it. But if it's good stuff, maybe we should pay attention to it." And really, I think all of us are at that point in our lives where it's like we're saying, "God, reach me. Spirit, show me the way." If I got to go through some dismantling, then so be it. If I have to have some major forgiveness lessons that I have to face, that's okay. I'm willing to go through my forgiveness lessons. I want peace of mind. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes. You just make it clear and obvious, and you show me, you show the way. And for Helen and Bill, starting to take down this inner dictation that Helen was receiving with shorthand, and then Bill typing it out, so they actually got the text, and then the workbook, and then the manual for teachers, Song of Prayer, psychotherapy pamphlet. All of it came from about 1965 to 1972, but they're on a journey, an adventure of even receiving this material, because they're research psychologists. You know, they can't publish this kind of thing in their journals. Among their peers, they'd be left off the block at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center if they start publishing this. But they both had, I think, a feeling that this was like an answer to their prayer. Somewhere in their heart they were saying, "Please help me live a happy life. Please help me find joy. Help me find this peaceful, restful way of living. I just want a peaceful life. I don't know exactly what I'm going to have to go through with it, but please help me." And they weren't even using the words like "Lord help me," because these were research psychologists at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. And they had pretty wild relationships, like most institutions around the world. You know, their professional life was no bowl of cherries. It was full of tensions and anxieties and stress, like most institutions have, and most organizations have in the world. Most families, most people, most individuals are dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, depression, sometimes suicidal thoughts. You know, it's a death wish. This whole linear time-space cosmos has come as the result of a death wish. So we shouldn't be surprised that there's suicide, there's destruction, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's fear, guilt, shame, pain. What would you expect from a death wish, you know? What else would you expect from a death wish? It's exactly what you would expect from a death wish. And yet there is a way out, a way of bringing your mind into alignment, into attunement with the Spirit, so that you can find happiness, true happiness, not happiness because you got a promotion or got a brand new car, a new hairstyle, a new set of clothes, a new house, a new car, more money in your bank account. I mean, whatever, all the things the ego would say, that's where you get your little bits and pieces of happiness. But those are all distractions away from knowing who you really are. That's the grand surprise. The grand surprise is discovering who you really are and have always been. You've been this glorious spirit and you just forgot about it. You had an amnesia, you had a forgetting, you took on a dream, you gave over power in the dream. You know, you weren't even experiencing yourself in a lucid dream anymore, aware that you're dreaming. No, you got all caught up in playing the roles. You know, like we have a movie in our Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment called The Nines, and there's some just great lines in there. You know, you got the blonde woman tells the main character, you know, you got all caught up in playing these roles and moving continents around and all these wars, and the human condition is the result of a psychotic break, of a break from reality, a break from love and light and oneness. You had a psychotic break and you've had some pretty wild dreams going on there, and you are so identified with those dream characters that is what you call daily life now. You've forgotten eternal life, so now you're all caught up in this mirage of images which you call daily life, and they don't have anything to do with you at all. It was funny, like yesterday after the first session, I went in to check Facebook, and I love all the little comments that come in, but somebody had commented on Spiri. Is everybody aware of Spiri, this little app that I developed? It's one on Facebook, and now there's an app for your phone called Spiri, where you work through your upsets and you work through your fears and doubts and perceptions so you can have a miracle, a change of mind. Anyway, I was reading one of the comments on Spiri, and the woman had written, she said, there's a problem with this app because this app doesn't know the difference between facts and beliefs. This app cannot tell the difference between facts and beliefs. Every time I use this app, it's always pointing out the negative beliefs that I have. And I'm telling the app, no, this actually happened to me. You don't get it, app. Like, this really happened to me, really. This is a real thing. This isn't a negative belief, this is a real thing. This is a fact. You know, like that old TV show in the United States years ago from, I think it was the 60s, Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am. It were, you know, the main character, detective, just the facts, ma'am. We just want the facts. Well, you know, I had to laugh when I saw it because she was saying the app has a problem because it can't tell the difference between facts and beliefs. It doesn't understand the difference between facts and beliefs. And it reminded me of flashback when I was with this group of students back in the 1990s, like around 1993. I'm with this group of students, a small group of students, very devoted to the Course. And one day I go in to meet with them, and they've just read a line in A Course in Miracles, and they're all upset. They're all upset. And they all, David, tell us what this means. I don't understand what this one line means. And they've been having this big discussion, and the line in A Course in Miracles that they were discussing, they were all riled up about, was, here's the line, no one can be angry had effect.